Welcome into the Thursday Blitz presented by Offense Defense. I'm Christian Mitchell alongside by Caleb Williams.
How are we doing, folks?
Yeah, this should be a good show for you guys. Coming at you every Thursday, we're going to go through a variety of topics in the NFL world, the college world, some OD history, cover some OD alums. It should be a good one for you. And during a very eventful week, boy, do we have the first show for you.
Absolutely. It all starts today right here.
As we're recording this, the NFL Honors will be taking place at 9 o'clock tonight. You know, kind of the beginning of the wrap-up of this football season, which I'm so sad to see go to start off. Either way, no matter what happens in this Super Bowl, that's the only football we have until August rolls back around, man.
Not so fast. You got UFL coming up in the spring.
Some UFL, yeah.
I'm a big fan of the UFL. I want to be a lot more attentive to it this season. DC Defenders hopefully can win a championship. They lost the last time to the Arlington Renegades.
I will say I have seen, the DC fans kind of coming out in full force, making some traditions going along the way. And I love to see that for the UFL. A lot of those guys now currently in the NFL, like the Lions kicker, Jake Bates. Should be a great season, but that's for later. UFL talk is for later.
That's farther into that, and a lot of alumni will probably be playing for them as well.
But right now, NFL awards, and that's where we want to kind of start this very first show here with the NFL Honors taking place tonight. We've got a couple OD guys in there in the running for some major awards, and this is just such a great, conclusion to the year, giving the respect to the guys who have worked so hard all year. So kicking things off, the first award that we're going to go through and predict is the most prestigious, the MVP award. So I have my prediction. I have a couple ways I could see it going with the finalists. The main four finalists being OD alum Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. So, Caleb, you have to pick right now, who do you think is going to win the MVP later on tonight?
Lamar, period. He's had a great season. He's thrown for, I believe, like 4,000 yards, over 50 touchdowns. Very good season for him. He's looking for MVP award number 3. He seems to be the clear-cut favorite because the award has, historically since 2012 been given to the best quarterback in the league. And if you're looking at statistically, besides Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson has had the better season.
Yeah. What's crazy is this is one of Lamar's best seasons ever, and he's already a 2-time MVP. And he somehow topped those seasons, Great all-around season from Lamar, and I do think he gets it. Also OD alum in Lamar.
Yes.
But with that being said, I think voter fatigue is a real thing. I think voter fatigue really does come in. I think it's, especially in the NBA as of recently, we've seen it. And I think they really want to give it to Josh Allen. When you talk about MVP from a most valuable player standpoint, not to discredit Lamar in any way or the season that he's had, because it was a phenomenal season. It was great, one of the best, statistically. But he had a 1,000-yard receiver, and he had a 1,500 almost yard rusher in Derrick Henry back there. When you look at Josh Allen, not the case. Similar production. Lamar does have the edge in stats, but when you look at the rest of the team, there's not much going on in Buffalo outside of Josh Allen. James Cook had a great year, and Khalil Shakir, out of all receivers, stepped up and had a great year for them as well. But I think Josh Allen, I'm going to have to go Josh Allen here. I think the voter fatigue mixed with the value of him on his team compared to Lamar, who, yes, still is the whole team. There's just more weapons surrounding Lamar. And I think that with, the fatigue might make the voters turn to Josh Allen.
I think it's Lamar 100%. I don't discredit Allen. He did have a great season, one of his better seasons yet. 2 things. AP first team or the first team All-Pro, arbitrary. It's arbitrary. It's one of those things where the voter looks at, you could be this close to another player, but the other one the voter sways towards the one player who may have been a little bit worse or a little bit better, depending on that. And then number 2, the last time these 2 quarterbacks faced off in the regular season, Lamar Jackson spanked Josh Allen.
That was in week 4. That was early. That was early on.
If the voting had not concluded before the playoffs, I'd have Josh Allen have more of a case because he did beat the Ravens in the playoffs. Now, it was a very close game. They lost off the Mark Andrews dropped 2-point conversion.
Great game.
The Bills' defense disrupted Lamar great, and Josh Allen was able to capitalize off those turnovers. However, since voting concluded before the playoffs, it's Lamar's award.
Okay, yeah, I don't hate it. I think it's probably one of those two guys. Want to see Saquon win it, but
they're never going to give it to a running back again.
No, probably not.
We talk about voter fatigue. They need to get fatigued off voting for QB every year.
I agree with that. Moving forward with a little mention of Saquon. Next up, the Offensive Player of the Year award, and this one feels pretty much already penciled in here to go to Saquon Barkley. That's my clear pick. He 2,000-yard rusher, should be higher up in MVP conversations, but as you mentioned, MVP is pretty much a QB award at this point. But Saquon, unbelievable year, historically good year. Brought back the value almost of the running back position.
I agree. It really shined a light on these running backs that are like important. That you see they're important to the team. Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. I'm missing someone. Derrick Henry for the Ravens. Yeah. I don't get how you can win Offensive Player of the Year and not MVP, and vice versa. However, if they didn't give it to Derrick Henry when he ran for 2,000 in 2020, 2021, Saquon was never going to win the MVP unless he rushed for 2,500 yards and ran for at least 30 touchdowns. Then you're looking at that. But Offensive Player of the Year is a great consolation prize.
Yeah, I think
he earned that, and he earned that. I'm not saying like consolation is a bad thing. I'm saying he earned that Offensive Player of the Year, getting so close to breaking Eric Dickerson's record.
Probably should have broken Eric Dickerson's record if he played in that last meaningless game against the Giants at the end of the year. But yeah, I think he really had to break that record to be considered for MVP, unfortunately. And, that's just kind of how things go. Save them up for the playoffs. Now they're in the Super Bowl. Bigger things at mind, I suppose. But great season from Saquon. All-time great season. A season we're going to be talking about for a long time for sure.
And we're going to see a lot more of that come Sunday.
Hopefully
put a little cherry on top.
Yeah, to wrap up, because he is still chasing the overall, full season rushing title from Terrell Davis. I think I want to say he's about 30 yards away from that, so it's pretty likely that gets broken this year, putting him in the history books for sure.
I mean, hey, you don't win the regular MVP, but you got a ring in Super Bowl MVP. I think a bit better.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Switching gears, we're going to move over to the defensive side of the ball, and this one is a lot more up in the air. I would say this one is pretty hard to be in conversations for DPOY 2-3 years in a row, and some guys have, T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, but for me personally, I'm gonna have to go with Patrick Surtain. The Broncos' defense was never the problem as they've struggled the last few years, and this year Surtain has just continued to take leaps above his play and anchored one of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, this guy was a pure shutdown corner.
No, and you're definitely going to get no arguments from me. Every week I'd hear, Pat Surtain did this. Pat Surtain held this guy down to, less than 20 receiving yards and like 3 targets.
Yeah.
So this is one of the more clear-cut, not awards, but more clear-cut NFL awards years that I at least in my opinion. You did say DPOY's in the air more so than the other awards. However, I feel like this is the most clear cut we've ever had as far as the NFL awards that I've seen.
Yeah, it has been. A lot of them have been somewhat predictable. I shout out to Zach Bond for being in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I will say that. Tackle machine. Forced fumble. He's just got that punch out in him. That's like something that you can teach, but some guys just have it, and he's one of those guys this year that's had it. I think he would he's up there, I just think it's Surtain's award, and the voters are going to side with Surtain.
If there was a most improved player award, that definitely would have gone to Zach Bond. However, that's not the case in the NFL.
Yeah, he kind of saved his career. But moving forward, we're gonna stay on the defensive side here. We're gonna go Defensive Rookie of the Year. Really between two guys, in my opinion. I'll let you go first. Who do you got?
Well, Jared Verse. He led that Rams defense. He led that Rams pass rush. Had some clutch sacks against Philly in the divisional round. Kept them in it right up until the end. Very productive season from the rookie. Would love to. I'm going to see a lot more next season. improvement. We're talking about this guy could be a Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt archetype pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does.
I mean, 9 sacks for the Rams and against the Eagles in the divisional round.
Yeah,
that's insanity.
Unheard of against such a good offensive line, and I believe they had 8 or 9 against the Vikings in the previous round as well. Just dominant postseason, dominant rookie campaign from Verse. I can't really argue with you there, honestly.
I might have missaid with the 9 sacks. I don't know if it was against the Eagles. Viking.
I know they had a lot versus the Eagles.
I do know that, yeah.
They did have 8 or 9 versus the Vikings. They were on a historical pace to start the playoffs. But switching gears into our the last award we're going to cover is Offensive Rookie of the Year. And
who was your D-Roy? You said Verse?
Yeah, I'm going to have to start you in Verse there. The only other guy worth mentioning there would be Quinyon Mitchell, who was just a blanket all year long. Just doesn't have the stats really to back it up because he didn't get targeted a lot. I don't think he had a pick in the regular season, and as a corner, you kind of have to have at least one. And Jared Verse just had such a great year, so I think he's going to end up winning it tonight. But yeah, moving forward into Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now this one is clear cut when you think about it, but I do think there is a good argument for Brock Bowers as well.
Yeah.
But how can it not be Jaden Daniels?
It falls in that same category as the MVP award. Typically a quarterback does get favored. Yeah. I mean, the last time it was very close for an Offensive Rookie of the Year was between, I believe it was Herbert and Jefferson.
Yeah, and then I remember Jamar and Mac Chase at the time was a debate too. Or Mac Jones and Jamar Chase. Because Mac Jones had his best year that rookie year.
But yeah, Brock Bowers, big year for the Raiders. I didn't think the Raiders going into the draft were going to take him. I thought they were going to stick with Myers and just keep it rolling, but no. And he's proven that that it was a good spot to take him. He's going to be a very productive guy there over in Las Vegas for years to come. However, you got to give it to Jane Daniels. Not trying to be biased, but he did what Iron Man did. He took a box of scraps and duct tape and took a team that was 4-13 last year to the conference championship.
Yeah, you really can't undersell what he did whatsoever, and it's just from that quarterback position, that is the most valuable position on the field at all times, and he, like you said, saved the franchise. Some down years for a lot of years. A lot of years in a row, there wasn't really much to look forward to, and
yeah, just keep laying it on, huh?
Okay,
just keep laying it on me, huh?
I'm getting into it. I'm saying now players want to go to Washington strictly to play with Jaden Daniels and how electrifying this offense is.
Yeah. And coming into the season, he wasn't even I don't even know if he was top. He was top 5, but he might have been 3. You had Caleb Williams, obviously number 1, coming into the season, and to go from that to in the middle of the season going into potential MVP conversation. Yeah. Is insane. He missed a couple of games, some due to that rib injury, some due to he got pulled versus Dallas in the last game. It happens, but however, and he has a couple off games, but he did the most to get that he did the most he could. Brought a team to the conference championship. He deserves Rookie of the Year. For sure. I believe he broke the franchise record for most rush yards by a quarterback.
I don't know that off the top of my head. It was a historical campaign for Daniels, and which should be the first of a lot of good years to come. Not only for him, but for Washington as a whole.
I believe that tops last year's C.J. Stroud. In my opinion, not because I'm a Washington fan, but because what he did for the team and the weapons he had to work with.
I agree. They didn't. Terry finally got a quarterback.
Yes.
It paid dividends for Washington. We're going to kind of move forward here. Did a little bit of rambling on that topic.
A little bit.
NFL awards are an interesting time. It's always nice to debate and, really go over and give certain guys their flowers at the end of the year. I mean, it's a tough job. 18 full weeks, 17 games of, war almost. And when you come out of it all battered, you want to make sure you get the praise that you deserve.
Speaking of getting flowers after being battered, who's your comeback player of the year?
Oh, comeback player of the year has got to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was hurt towards the end of last year. Bengals were a little written off, and he was up there for MVP. He had one of the best statistical years of a quarterback. Just didn't make the playoffs. Can't make the MVP or can't win the MVP if you don't make the playoffs in my book.
Quarterback was out of the spotlight for a while and took his team to the playoffs. Had a great season for once. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, yep.
That's my pick for comeback player of the year, Sam Darnold.
Fair. You can't argue with that. Also, just like Zach Bond saved his career.
Yes, the Vikings revived his career.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of cost himself a couple of millions of dollars in the playoffs, but he'll definitely find a landing spot with a team that needs a bridge QB.
For sure. He played himself into some money no matter what after this year. Moving forward, big game, huge game, the game, Sunday night, I believe 6:30 kickoff. Super Bowl 59. We've waited all year for this, and now it is down to one final game of this NFL season. We've got a great matchup, in my opinion. I think these have been the two best teams all year, to be honest. I feel like these are the two best rosters in football, with the Chiefs and the Eagles meeting up again. I know there's been a lot of flack, a lot of controversy around us getting a rematch here this time, but at the end of the day, I do think they were the best two teams, and it makes sense to me that they would be here on the biggest stage.
I think the Ravens have a better roster than the Chiefs, but because the Chiefs really had an anomaly at the wide receiver position.
I think they figured it out now, though.
Yeah.
You got D-Hop. After Rashee Rice went down, they were really killed.
If Rashee Rice never went down, the Chiefs don't get D-Hop.
Yeah, that's true.
But you fielded the team of Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie, Travis Kelce had a little bit of a down year, and I believe Juju Smith-Schuster is on the team still.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown is also there now.
He got hurt though.
He didn't. I think his first game was that Steelers game on Christmas Day. It was late in the season, but now when you look at their receiver room, I think it's pretty good for a team that has never really relied on a number one receiver other than Tyreek Hill while they were really good, and so they went to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl without him. You've got Travis Kelce, who had a down regular season for sure, but has been great in the playoffs so far. Xavier Worthy is a playmaker. And then you've got Hollywood Brown, the speed there. Juju just had a really good game in the conference championship. And then you still have D-Hop. They just kind of have a lot of guys who, while they don't necessarily have a number one receiver, they have a bunch of guys that are capable of getting it done.
Well, yeah, when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes who can do just about anything with anybody, make any pass, throw it to anyone, you're going to succeed. Doesn't matter if you have the number one receiver, if you have Jamar Chase or if you have Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy or any other guy you pull off the street.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes could probably get it done.
Yeah, and so that's we're gonna start previewing the Super Bowl here, as it's pretty much here. Got a couple days, only a couple more sleeps away. We've got some OD alumni playing in this game, as we mentioned, Saquon Barkley and also DeAndre Hopkins. Both getting a shot at their first ring. Someone from OD is gonna come home with some hardware, no matter what here. And this game should be great. The first one, thrilling game, high scoring, 38-35 final. I don't think this one gets that high scoring. I think both defenses are better than what they were 2 years ago. But one point I really want to kind of point out from the defensive side of things is Vic Fangio, the Eagles defensive coordinator, notoriously 0-8 against Mahomes-led quarterbacks over his head coach and defensive coordinator tenure. Now gets another shot at him. And, Fangio is known for his, umbrella-style defense, isn't going to allow offenses to get big plays. And that hasn't been the Chiefs' MO all year. But you just saw Zach Ertz have a monster game, in the underneath flat area, in the early yards between the line of scrimmage, go off. And that's the same zone that Travis Kelce, a better tight end, even at his late age, still operates mostly in. So I think a big matchup in this game is going to be how the Eagles defense, Zach Bond mostly, and Oren Burks now starting for Nakobe Dean, how do they manage Travis Kelce? Can they stop him? Can they slow him down? What is that going to look like in a defense that's pretty much asking you to take the underneath?
Yeah, I think if you bog down Travis Kelce, take away those options for Mahomes, you have Quinyon Mitchell, you have DeJean and Reed Blankenship and C.J. Gardner-Johnson in that secondary that could take care of the rest. You got to force Mahomes to make those awkward plays, because when teams were getting pressure on him and taking away Travis Kelce, early you saw it against the Texans. They were starting to take away Travis Kelce. That's why they kept it so close, and we're this close to beating the Chiefs before they even got to where they are right now. And you're right, the Eagles have a much better defense than they did prior 2 years ago, when they face the Chiefs. You don't have Linval Joseph on that line. You don't have Robert Quinn and Ndamukong Suh, the retirement home on that defensive line.
Yeah.
You replace it with Jordan Davis. You replace it with Carter. You replace it with some premier pass rushing in Josh Sweat.
And Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith
has emerged this postseason. I expect him to, in a win, to have a big game. I think he's going to be a good guy.
And
another little matchup I wanted to bring up is from the Chiefs' defensive side. The Spagnola blitz is something he's known for. I know you've seen it. The exotic blitzes, they'll load the left side and have all these people on the line, and then they'll come from the right side somehow. So, for an Eagles offensive line that is very good, but not necessarily offensive line, but Jalen Hurts, who has struggled to pick up the blitz and has struggled under the blitz, saw it a little bit in the Washington game. It seemed almost every third down they were blitzing. And while the Eagles were able to beat it a couple times, specifically with that A.J. Brown deep ball on fourth down where they brought the house, with this exotic pressures, I think that's a key turning point. How do they manage these exotic pressures? And you see them often, and you see them on the important downs. Like when you go back to the AFC Championship, that last throw from Josh Allen on offense, heavy blitz, don't even know how he got that ball up there, somewhat in the range for Kincaid to come down with.
But like we were talking about defense, I wanted to say one more thing about Vic Fangio. Mm-hmm. He is 0-8 against Mahomes. However, he was coach for the Broncos and the Dolphins, who have been notoriously not the greatest since, the great Peyton Manning retired for the Broncos and Dolphins. They've been pretty stagnant when it comes to coaching. Flores couldn't solve it. Fangio couldn't solve it. When it comes to the Eagles' offensive line, you're benefiting by getting back your starting center, Cam Jurgens, letting Dickerson go back to his natural position. You still have Mailata. You still have
you got Becton at right
Lane.
guard and Lane at the right.
And then you got Lane. So you have Becton's another player who has really revived his career in Philadelphia. And the Eagles have benefited by using Saquon Barkley when they notice the blitz. Like they know the next play is going to be a blitz. Like third down, they're going to blitz me.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley has been amazing in blitz pickups. You're getting that deep ball to A.J. Brown. You're buying that time. If the Eagles can spring Dallas Goedert open on those, little exotic blitz pickup, nice little short yard screen, I'm sure they can shred that defense.
Yeah, I mean I would have to agree. When the blitz is coming, the linebackers are physically creeping down, leaving behind them open. You get a little drag route in there, and you pretty much like any one of your guys one-on-one in that situation, whether it's AJ, whether it's Devontae Smith, or Goddard one-on-one with a linebacker or an undersized corner. It's just getting the ball out, and that's something that Jalen has struggled with in the past. We'll see. I think those are the two, kind of main matchups to really look at for this game. I think those two things are going to kind of determine the winner.
Both teams have a solid head coach. I give it to the Chiefs with Reed. They obviously with that legendary, and that he's like a better, like he's been a better coach for a long time. Defensive coordinator, it's kind of a tie, because Fangio has had good defenses, but Spagnuolo has been at it for a long time, and they're kind of even on offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore for the Eagles, and then Matt Nagy for the Chiefs. Mahomes has had a little bit of a down year offensively since they changed offensive coordinators.
A little bit, but. That being said, this Eagles defense is probably it was the number one defense ranked at the end of the year, and is probably the best defense the Chiefs have faced all year.
I agree. No, I heavily agree. And they faced a really tough defense 2 weeks ago against the Bills.
Yeah. So we'll kind of see on that. As an Eagles fan, I don't want to ever pick against them, but in the Super Bowl, I don't want any bad juju in there and try to talk too much and pick them as well. So I'm just going to let you make your prediction. If you had to give us a score prediction or at least a winner, what do you think? Naturally.
I'm going to say it's going to be the Eagles.
Okay.
I think it's going to, prior to what you said, or contrary to what you said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think most of the scoring is going to come from Philadelphia. Versatile back in Saquon Barkley. He can run it. He can catch it. Opens up the playbook a lot more when you have a running back who can do both. A.J. Brown's been great on the deep ball. Smith is serviceable in the middle of the field. I think it's going to be 34-17 Eagles.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games where it's obviously every single possession matters, and especially in the second half, it's going to be a nerve-wracking one for sure. I think it's going to be a great game no matter what.
I just want to see the halftime show, man.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. We're going to kind of switch topics, switching gears away from the Super Bowl. More some OD, some more offense-defense stuff here. We're going to get some things out there, explain some of the winter camps, the summer camps, the elite camps, and overall just the timeline into the bowl game. So, yeah, I mean, kicking things off, we're just about in the middle of winter camp season. And these camps are position-specific winter camps for anybody, both the high school level and the youth level. They will be the same day camps, one-day camps, but the youth and the high school will be entirely separated. Two completely different atmospheres, two completely different vibes there.
Yeah, 2 different times, 2 different levels of the coaching. With the youth, it's more so trying to get them acclimated with the rules of the football and getting them ready to make that next step. With high school, it's honing in on what they already know, refining that, getting them ready for their next step up into college, into the college ranks.
For sure. And that's mostly what the winter camps are going to be focused on doing. But here with offense, defense, it is a timeline. Each camp kind of plays into each other. Everything builds up. So the winter camps are the first steps, and then some of the best players from the winter camps are going to be asked to return for regional elite camps that'll be coming later in this spring. Now, these camps are supposed to be, the best of the winter camps, the best players out of the winter camps, and are going to be continually focused on, technique, getting better individually kind of as a player, almost as a workshop during this off season, when you're not actually in season putting it all together, you're able to look at it from more of an individual focus of what can I do to get better? How can I get better in my technique? Things like how do I get my get off better? Pass protection, anything. It's different from position to position, but supposed to be focused in on each one of those.
Yeah, I get your name on a radar. It's like these coaches know who you are, and they're like, I want him. I want him on my team when this camp rolls around. I want him on my team when this bowl game rolls around. And for a young player, that's very beneficial to not only your development on the field, but for internally your confidence.
I was just going to say that.
I did so well. This coach knows who I am, what I'm capable of, and wants me. And that means a lot to a young player.
Yeah, it's a great feeling to be wanted in general, and to get that while you are developing. It's almost like you're getting rewarded for doing the right thing.
Yeah,
doing the right thing, taking the steps to continue to get better, and you get the rewards from it. You reap the rewards for the work that you put in, and this is a prime opportunity to do that and to get coached up by some guys who really know what they're talking about, some guys that have been in the college and high school ranks for a long time. And so after the regional elite camps, the next kind of step is summer camps. There's some stuff going on behind the scenes about some new things coming to offense defense for the summer that we can't reveal just yet. But, again, it's the third of that building block, stepping up from winter to regional to now summer, and continued on the focus of growing in your position.
These summer camps are so secretive and so new. I don't even know what's going on with them.
Yeah, it's they're going to be hitting, more to come. Make sure you keep an eye on our website, o-d.com, for all the most up-to-date information, especially as it gets posted. I think there's going to be some exciting stuff coming your way, but that also in turn is going to lead into, the big showcase at the end of the year, which is the OD All-American Bowl, which is what we were just in Cowboy Stadium for this winter.
Yeah, and it was a show. It was great. Great opportunity for these young players to get onto an NFL field and to really just get a feel for live game action. It is like it's full contact, and being able to put those skills that you've been training on and learning, like since you started in the winter. Like let's say a young player starts in the winter, and this coach is like, oh, I want him to come to this camp next in the pipeline. When I want him to come to this camp, I remember this kid, so now I want to come to this camp. And then it rolls around to the draft time, and that coach comes up and is like, I want him on my team.
Yeah.
I want him on my team to play in this bowl game. This player deserves it. This player earned it.
Yeah, and what I like most about this camp setup in this way is everything you do matters. You know, everything you do continues to roll over for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you know, you make those relationships. It's almost like career networking at the college level. You're just meeting people in the field that can help you become the best version of you, really. And ultimately ends up in these All-American games that are great for exposure. They were a fun time, and it was great competition.
And it gives you film. It gives film for these other coaches to look at throughout the off season, like from when the bowl's over to when winter camps start again. It gives the older players, it gives these colleges film to look at. If a college coach is like, hey, I want to see this player's film.
Yeah.
What did he do? What did he do at your camps?
It's almost like a football resume portfolio type.
Exactly. It's like a LinkedIn.
It's a learning experience, great learning experience for everyone involved, and like I said, just the way it builds up and builds off of each one. Like, you're just constantly progressing, and it's rewarding once you get there. You know?
Absolutely.
Now, moving into our final topic on this Thursday Blitz, we're just going to go into a little bit of offense-defense history, you know, in general here in this first episode, as been around forever. I'm sure a lot of you guys know it's been around for a little bit, but we're just going to give you some basic little history on it, with offense-defense originally being established all the way back in 1969. Long time ago. It has evolved much since then, but to have an established brand like that is allowed us to get settled in, you know, allowed us to get into routine, to run these camps, to put on these showcases, to get context, to put guys in the league, to get coaches in the league. There's been a lot of NFL players, over 160 currently active right now, that have gone through offense-defense camps, with some of, you know, the biggest names being like Saquon Barkley. As we've mentioned earlier with D-Hop, can you think of anybody else that's notable?
You got the notable guys. You got Earl Thomas. You got Eli Manning. But then you got Priest Holmes. You've got Casanova McKenzie, who, if you know, he played for a couple of teams. He played for Washington back in 2018, 19-ish. He was like the third outside linebacker on the depth chart. But it's stuff like that has been made possible by offense defense.
Yeah, you've got Super Bowl MVPs that have gone through offense defense, and Malcolm Smith, a guy we highlighted not too long ago.
You've got regular season MVPs who have come through here. Lamar Jackson.
Cam Newton.
Newton.
A ton of guys that that are everyday names at the NFL level that you probably didn't know have gone through this camp. There has been star after star after star. And you could be next. And even, when you're not at that star level, getting to the NFL is for the top, 1-2% of athletes. To just get there is an achievement, and farther than, 99% of people do get there or do end up getting. So just stuff like that, any success through there is big and should be celebrated.
Yeah, and it's not just on the field, so it's the off the field. Like Will Compton, he came through here. He played for Nebraska. He played for he went undrafted, played for Washington, played for the Titans, played for the Raiders twice. And then after it was done, he starts his podcast, Buzzing with the Boys, with Taylor Lewin.
Yeah. I believe Compton played in one of the AFC Championship games with the Titans against the Chiefs back then.
I believe so.
A ton of guys, Tavon Austin. How can you forget Tavon Austin coming through OD?
Yes.
Just so many countless alumni. We've got current coaches and Dan Quinn currently that have been involved with OD before. It's a great opportunity, great way to really get tapped into what the future could be if you're a talented athlete.
Dan Quinn, the Shanahans, Mike and Kyle, Coach Piriani.
Yeah, some great coaches, some great names, some big names. But that's today. How it originally started was way back when, all the way up in the Northeast, when Mike Meshkin originally had the idea to create a camp after going to a bunch of camps in his youth. Actually, locked in with his cousin, who was a football coach at the time, and they came together and formed what was the very first football camp in the nation back then, all the way back in 1969. And this is a long time ago. World's changed quite a bit since then, and it has just continued to evolve. From what was a parking lot originally back in the 70s to what is now a business and corporation that has put countless guys into the league.
Yeah, it's a business, like you said, parking lot with leftover grass clippings from a ski resort to now a nationwide football empire, essentially, football camp empire.
Yeah, and now it's a recruiting showcase, all this exposure that comes with it, and all
Mhm.
the brand. It's put on for a lot of people in the past, and will continue to put on for a lot of people in the future. So if you're out there, watching, stick with us. This is going to be the first of hopefully many Thursday Blitzes. I'm Christian Mitchell, joined alongside by Caleb Williams. We want to thank you for watching.